we have talked about the impact, but what do you think are the symptoms when people should really reach out to mental health experts? Because, I've seen, motivational gurus are one thing, leaders are one thing who give motivation talk and say, well, time will pass and things like that. But is there really a time when people should really seek mental health, reach out to experts rather than trying to deal with it on a daily basis?
Well, I think Mridul, they should not wait for symptoms to do something about it. I think they need to be proactive about it. I genuinely believe, and I say it on the behalf of almost the whole, fraternity of psychologists and psychiatrists, that it is important for these people who have got a hit, who have got a trauma, to be proactive. They should not wait before the damage is done. So proactively, they should reach out to somebody, not necessarily a psychiatrist or a psychologist like me or people of my fraternity, but probably a counselor, a family counselor, a mentor, an elder in the family, whoever. I mean, whoever they trust. I mean, of course, if they reach out to a professional, that's better, but that is not mandatory. The problem is that if they take too long, then they will start believing that the hurt has got over. But the problem is that the hurt has not got over, it has got within. And gradually, they will realize that now it has become a part of their mental fabric. So before it does any permanent damage, it's important to talk about what you are feeling, how you are feeling right at the outset. I almost see it this way, that if somebody has got fired, has begun to serve the notice period, then he or she should start talking about it with somebody, not on social media, for sure, not on social media, with someone in person, and preferably someone who can be a professional help. Because if you start talking about what is going on inside you, you have a sense of release, and that sense of release is extremely important. Having said that, if somebody doesn't really choose to do it proactively, if somebody waits for symptoms to come, then I'll go entirely by the book, and that is what we call DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. So if you go by DSM, then any sadness that has lasted for more than 2 weeks, so it is one of the criteria, that if sadness has lasted for more than 2 weeks, in spite of everything that you should do commonsensically, if it has not abated, then probably it's the right time that you go and talk to someone for professional help. One, if it has stayed for more than 2 weeks. Second, if you have had a very, vehement, angry episode, or you have had an episode which is very uncharacteristic of you, which was very disproportionate, and which was very out of place. So, uncharacteristic, disproportionate, and out of place. If you have such an episode of any vehement emotion, be it anger or sadness, then it is a good time. Now, it can be panic attack. It can be, an anxiety episode. But any uncharacteristic, disproportionate, and out of place episode, or if the emotion has lasted for more than 2 weeks, in spite of doing everything commonsensical, I think then one should reach out. But the best way, as I said, is you should not wait for symptoms to appear. You should take it proactively.
Fair. And I think there's definitely some complexity to it, because I think one point you said is don't do it on social media, which I feel a lot of people these days believe it helps them release their emotions and probably even reach out to the community, which is probably okay. Is there a reason why you say not do it on social media? Just
Yes,
curious.
Pradul. Yes, Pradul. Because on social media, you get reactions. And those reactions either make you feel like a hero. So you get all the sympathy. You get, these, brownie points of self-esteem, that you have kind of, you've kind of, stood for a cause. And at the same time, you start feeling that you are doing it on behalf of those who have not been able to do it, and all those emotions. And those emotions are masking emotions. So they
Hmm.
would come and they would mask the real emotion that you're feeling. And if you have a masking emotion coming into your system before you have released the original emotion that got generated, then it does more damage. So one, you feel like a hero. Or second, you end up becoming a, a little more sensitive towards what people think about your issues, which is necessarily not so good for mental health. Because if you are feeling a lot of support because there are a lot of people who have given you support, ask anybody who has put in such kind of a post after being laid off, and just imagine the person gets 6,000 likes and the person gets 450 comments, out of which 400 comments are straight, 400 comments are lauding or are supporting, and then you suddenly get 2 comments which are almost accusing you of becoming a crybaby, because social media is not moderated.
Yeah.
So the moment you see it, suddenly the
Brings
bubble
you down.
gets burst,
Yeah.
and that is when you start believing that world is not a fair place, even on social media, which was never supposed to be so fair place. So you become even more vulnerable. You become even more caring about what people think about you.
You
And
become
it is,
reactive.
yes, and it is not about what people think about you. It's about what you think about you. And
Correct.
what you think about you, if it gets changed by what people think about you, then I think it is dangerous.
Yeah, it's very volatile. I mean, I'll just add some color to it. So basically, from my perspective, I feel, yeah, so those reactions are transient, first thing. So you see 6,000 comments, 6,000 likes and 400 comments, like you said, and then it suddenly fizzles out and you're like, okay, it's not leading anywhere. And
Yes.
again, at a time when you're trying to deal with those emotions, I totally agree. When you see those 2 negative comments, you start to debate internally again. So that cycle is, you're not getting out of the cycle in a way, which kind
Very
of
true.
makes sense. Fair. I think I had some more thoughts, but I'll just hold on to them as you were speaking. One last thing I'll say is it's probably okay for people to reach out to people. You said one thing, that reach out to your close people, if not mental health expert, because not everyone may have access to but then at least even though, like you said in the past, that family members are also dealing with it, but I feel that the bonding will get better. There's a bridge that will form if you talk to people, even if you don't have access to mental health experts. So just to correct it, I mean, just so that somebody doesn't feel, well, it's a chicken and egg problem. Does it make sense?
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah, fair. Okay.